Hello, and welcome to session 5 of Mage, the Ascension, Powered by the Dark. This is by Holden Shearer. If you check the show notes, I have a link to where Holden has posted these rules that we're using, and also slight variations of that for doing Mage Sorcerer's Crusade, which is the High Renaissance version of this. The mechanics are very, very similar between the two. This is powered by the apocalypse, and it does some really interesting things with the system. We'll get back to exactly what that means in a second, but just want to say my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. I'm the Gauntlet Gaming Community Manager. The Gauntlet is an online gaming club. And you can find out more about that and our calendar app and the Patreon that supports all of that stuff at gauntlet-rpg.com. And I encourage you to check that out if you're a member of a marginalized community or suffering from financial hardship. We have special scholarship things that we kind of set up for people to get in on that called the Gauntlet Gameway. And if you're interested in that, check that out. Last time, our characters came face to face with the technocracy. And I say that question mark because it seemed like the two faces of the technocracy that they faced were in opposition to one another. On the one hand, Malachi and Thomas encountered a couple of technocratic agents who were clearly checking out the Convergent Dynamics building. And that particular interaction ended with some finality after some discoveries. In parallel, Clay and Silas tracked down, found that then one of the people who Clay had seen in the vision had been killed by a lightning bolt thrown by somebody in the back of a Starbucks. Then they followed that back and were tracking another person that they had seen that they actually had a name for, and that's Yumi Taga, and that she was on campus at the UMass Matting location. They went there and ran into two other people from the technocracy who seemed to be part of the Convergent Dynamics group. They didn't get names, but they did have a interaction with them. They have been named in the NPC sheet as Villain with Laser Hands and Death Elbow are the names that have been applied to them on the sheet. So that particular interaction went a little bit differently in that they were able to escape from these two, make their way out, and rescue Yumi from that set of circumstances. Yumi revealing in the course of that she is a nascent mage. She's clearly been awakened and has some grasp of her magical talents and powers and has been able to activate those. So that's where we left off, was with the four members of our group meeting together. I believe that you were we back at Silas's sanctum, I believe, at that point. So I think that's where we left off. So did anybody get an advance last time? Anybody hit that top that needs to take that?
I did.
What did you take?
So I took another sphere move. I took a second mind move of sense, thoughts, and emotions. Can detect the presence of thinking minds, read the emotional resonance of people, places, and with matter, objects, and grasp someone's overall state of mind or tell truth from falsehood. So not quite reading thoughts, but strong empathy.
Excellent. And then Clay, you're at 8 of 8, right?
Yeah, I remember having that happening at the end and thinking, oh, throughout this week, I'm going to definitely pick one of these.
No one ever looks up their advances. I've never done that.
You know what, though? I remember I've thought 2 or 3 times that I should have taken that Sense Life, one of the early ones, before. So maybe I'll just take that.
Okay. That seems like a reasonable approach to things. And then looks like, Thomas, you still need a few more. And Dr. Malachi, all we need is for you to fail a roll. 1 point. Well, surely we can get you that advance today. So we'll work on that. There were some people that tuned up their paradox a little bit last time. And a couple people have the storm kind of up. Oh, Thomas, I didn't notice. I just noticed you were at 4 or 5 on your storm. When that comes crashing down, we'll come back to that. So let's come to Silas. Silas, what stat do you want to highlight this time?
Let's see. Run 4 fellowships on down. Make something useful. I haven't played with the pattern move stuff much. It doesn't fall easily within my immediate conception of Silas, so
exploit
why
a
not?
complex system. I would think
Yeah.
that's definitely so make something that's practical or improves the world by existing, stand your ground, or exploit a complex system. I think that's a good pick.
So yeah, let me try some pattern stuff.
And then Thomas, what do you want for your pick this week?
Let's see. I am going to go. I'm going with questing, even though it's my worst stat.
Perform a feat of strength, agility, or toughness. Plant the seed of inspiration in someone, or facing down physical hardship. Certainly, inspiring someone through music is a possibility there. I like that, especially given that last time you were put in a serious emotional, moral pinch that you're still trying to resolve. Which brings us to the person who may have instigated that. Dr. Rogers, what do you want to pick for yours?
I think I'm going to take Primordial.
And Primordial is our classic one for trying to hurt or kill someone, attempting to shut someone down, or doing something shady. All right, well, I think we know what path you've chosen for tonight. All right. And then Clay, what would you like?
Well, I feel like I can't not complete the pattern, so I'll just go dynamic.
Absolutely, that seems reasonable. And the dynamic moves revolve around manipulation, escaping from danger, and having an epiphany, which is our figure things out move in this. I do like that this game, I mean, this is a few years old, steps away from putting specific questions on for its figure things out move, which is an interesting thing. That's kind of ahead of the game. So we come to the 4 of you, and what I'm going to say is that as we come in, we can see that you've been talking with Yumi, and she's been telling you that essentially over the last few months, when she's been at practice, when she's been, running track and so on, she's felt a different connection with her body and with the air around her, and that the first couple of times it was too much, like it kind of burned her out, and then she did it and it was kind of ludicrous, like she went, she bested her time by 10-15 seconds, and she's been slowly figuring out how to dial that back so it doesn't look too off the scale. But at the same time, she clearly has a native understanding that doing too much of this is dangerous. That's her feeling. Her paradigm seems to be some idea about like mental awareness and that you can concentrate the state of your mind and change your physical form of your body, some kind of thing. But when she says it, you can very clearly, she doesn't have very good sense. Like she kind of, does that. And you've explained to her just the very basics of the mage traditions, battle kind of thing. But she's still like, so I don't quite understand. So those two that were there in the dining hall in the student union, they would have killed me?
Well, I mean, maybe not necessarily killed, although definitely they could have. They've had more than enough.
God damn it. I have this very, very old Logitech set of speakers from like 2003. And the plug on the back of the base unit, which connects everything, has decided that it's just going to throw itself off whenever it wants. So I was like, oh, Patrick's muted. No. Everyone else seems to be reacting to what he's saying, so this is my fault. So Silas, you were saying.
No, not necessarily there to kill you. Although they definitely could have. I mean, she had laser lightning coming out of her hands, and she was throwing chairs. The other one was punching through walls. So they could definitely murder you a lot. But I don't think that's necessarily what they were there for. Although they may have been there to hurt you until you complied with whatever sort of horrible fascist secret government experiment they would run you through and brainwash you until you say.
Wait. They're part of the government?
Well, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. The government might be a part of them.
And she kind of sits back. She's clearly she's clearly scared. So what do I do? Can I go to another country? Can I move?
That's not really going to solve it. But fortunately, you found us, and we found you, and we can get you in touch with some people that can help you and teach you.
Oh, you can on occasion go to another plane of existence. That's sometimes safer, although sometimes not.
You mean like drugs?
Well, yes, in some instances.
She kind of looks and she's like, looks at you, Clay, you run that bookstore downtown.
Well, yes, I do.
And is that like an underground for this kind of thing?
Well, of sorts. Although for the next few days, I don't know if it's as safe as I would like it. But we do have a good borrowing process. If there's anything you need to read or anything.
I don't know. I mean, is there a book for this?
Oh, honey, there's hundreds.
Wait, I just like one, like Magic 101 or 102 maybe.
So you want to join the traditions?
Yes, I don't want to get killed by people.
Well, it's a good quality. I respect that in people. I think we can help you out.
So where should I go? What? I mean, should I stay here? What?
I think Clay will just like carefully look at everybody else and just like, well, you do happen to live right next to a place that seems pretty safe, although we're still checking it out ourselves.
What kind of place?
Have you read Harry Potter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Oh my
you might
God.
like it.
Is that stuff real? She's like, her eyes get wide.
Well, yes and no. I mean, just imagine an entire Hogwarts run by Snapes.
That may be a little harsh.
That's true. One of them was a Terminator.
It's a nice place, I think, for now, because hopefully it would be safe. And they do teach there, but in the long run, we may try to find someone that you can get in touch with that won't be here.
So it sounds to me like maybe you want to try and convince her to go along with this plan. Does someone want to be the person who is doing the sell on this? That would be a manipulate someone with dynamic.
Oh, I have that highlighted. I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Then what is it that you like that you're saying to kind of seal the deal, to say, you know, to convince her that this is the path that she needs to take?
I'll say, you know, these magic has a way of like figuring itself out and being connected in ways that, you know, isn't always apparent, and I mean sometimes is never even untangled. But you know, when I went there the first time, just a couple days ago, I actually saw you there.
Oh,
saw you and a few others, and I don't know. It's usually not that obvious that someone should go somewhere, but I don't know. This isn't like applying to Purdue. They already had your name, girl.
Purdue wouldn't want to go to Purdue anyway. Anyway, why don't you roll with dynamic?
So exactly a 7.
Exactly a 7. What do you think? I mean, she's going to go along with this. She's going to accept this, but what do you think she realizes about you in this exchange?
Oh, maybe I guess maybe retroactively, maybe she'll think about this later or something, but like how Clay kind of dropped in like, oh, that bookstore just isn't safe right now. And maybe something with that, like I think he really wanted to say, oh yes, I will just take you under my wing. This is great. But he's like, I am maybe too scared or paranoid might be a good.
Okay, that she
Like that.
realizes just how scared you actually might have been. She'll say, okay, well, yeah, we can go there, and maybe I can talk to somebody there about getting my credits transferred and get that worked out, because I have a lot of loans and I don't want to lose those credits. So,
Well, honey, they're wizards, but not miracle workers.
So let's assume for the moment that we'll put her on the back burner. We can take care of her situation in a bit. What is it? What is your next step, you four? Thomas, what do you think? What does Thomas think the four of you need to do?
I think Thomas has been mostly quiet during this and kind of still, you know, a little bit shell-shocked from what happened last time and you know, what he had to do. But I think he's just kind of realized listening to this, like, you know, even Clay's place is not safe. And so I think he's just like, I guess running and hiding really isn't an option at the moment, is it, for us at least? is this? I mean, do we need to? I don't know. Is it? Can we outrun this? Are we? You know, is there anything that we should be like? I still don't understand what that place really is. The technocracy that we encountered, they didn't even understand what it was. I'm very concerned. This is not okay. And I think I look over to Malachi just kind of like for help, because, you know, Thomas is grasping at straws at the moment. Like, what do you think? I'm lost.
And y'all have y'all explained sort of what went on and what you found out?
I think we would have given a data dump right off with the rundown. I know that Thomas straight out said we killed them. But I think at the very least what we're seeing is the same. The Crucible is forgotten by all of our people. I think that that tech node has been forgotten by all of theirs. And what sort of surprises me about this is, well, I don't know tech magic. I don't know exactly how it works. I know it's different than us. But I would have thought that it almost would have integrated more easily back in. That they would have hooked up to their hive mind, or the Borg would have woken up, or whatever. But they clearly have not tried to make any sort of reach out to the old tech, to the tech they know.
They're caught up in the same sort of problem and forgetting that the school is, and
that's
presumably don't really understand, I guess, exactly what happened on their end.
That's all I can imagine. I mean, I can't understand how the tech we know would not recognize them at all. And they don't. They thought it was us. They were certain it was us. Now, as soon as they found out that it might not be, well, that's sort of what forced Thomas and I's hand. I just couldn't let him get back to headquarters with that knowledge.
I think it's pretty clear. We have to beat them to the punch, don't we? There's no other option right now. We have to find out more about this place before they have a chance to do whatever they're going to do.
I think Clay has been like considering, he's like, yeah, and you know, something that's been, you know, itching the back of my head since we started this, this whole dragon engine thing. I mean, when have we known something traditional to be called a anything engine? When have we known anything from the technocracy to be called a dragon anything? And it's weird that it affected possibly both of them.
I still continue to think that their techs had some hooks into it. And, you know, there's a part of me that would love to see us set the techs on each other. I mean, would it be lovely to see them just wipe out our problem here? But that could be complicated. And a slip there, well, it'll put a whole lot of more information with into our tech's hands.
Yes. Well, I mean, if we need to figure out more about what's going on, obviously both of them were, whether they think they were doing their own magics or not, both sides were caught up in the same effect. Maybe they were tapping into something common or between them. It's like call and response music. It's like antiphony. It's two groups far away from each other, and on one side nothing makes sense. The one side of it's too loud, the other side of it's far away and garbled. It doesn't mix, but somewhere in the middle the two sounds meet and make the performance. There's one started, the other reacted, and both didn't realize that they were affecting the same energy.
It also, remind me if you caught this as well. Didn't they say that this engine is here under the city, is here in the city? But that didn't exactly mean it was underneath the school or in the school. So, can we maybe go find it?
You mean hunt through the underwears of the city to find a sleeping dragon?
Listen, don't threaten me with a good time. That sounds like a regular Saturday. I think this dragon engine is the big question that we haven't answered yet, and it might be the key to what actually happened here.
Oh, good. Let's go hunt it and ask it questions then.
Sounds thrilling.
I think, Thomas, that you may be the only one of us that could track it. You've heard it.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.
Just need a place to start.
So how are you going to find that place to start? Tyler?
Well,
Through your randomness, or is it through Silas's sacred architecture, or through Clay's visions of the biological systems of this city? What do you think to get the starting point for Thomas?
I mean, my dumb luck would be how I did it. Does someone feel like they've got something a little better than me just twisting fate? Because if not,
I
I'll
mean,
try to
it's
twist
all
fate.
magic. We're all going to be cheating.
Yeah. Because my thought would be that, Thomas, you already know what it sounds like. You've heard from both the industry and from the Crucible that kind of the similarity you were telling me about.
Yes, it's the same. It's the same sound, the same music, just, yeah, different places, different.
Then I would almost propose we get in the car and just try and amplify that sound for you. See if we can track to where the loudest, most clear version is. I mean, I know it won't be easy, and I hate putting this pressure on you, but I believe that you are the key to this. You're the one who could possibly save this whole thing from going completely sideways. Would that be considered an inspire, perhaps, Lowell?
I like that. Let's see it.
Okay, I'm not great at it, but let's see. I know somewhere we have the roll for a party.
Yeah, up on the magic moves, and I think on the basics too. Or no, on the basics.
And so I'm doing an even up on... Oh, no, that's a questing move. So I'm -1 on it. And I've already used my inspiration on it. But let's see if I get lucky. Oh, I did get sort of lucky. I got a 7.
You got a 7. So when you inspire someone on a 7 to 9, choose 1 from the 10 plus list, and then they gain an insight about you.
All right. I'm going to give you to carry 1 forward to do the thing I've inspired you to do. And
What
gaining
does
an
he learn?
insight.
What does, and this is something that Thomas will record on his sheet.
Right. I think the insight is that with all of this forgetting and the things from the war, I think that you realize that Malachi, after what we did, Malachi is really afraid of what he can't remember he did in the war. he's afraid now that he did some really dark things, because it felt extremely natural when he just shot that guy in cold blood.
I like that, and I think you can see Thomas kind of like looking at you, not unkindly, you know, if anything, with actual, you know, empathy, and just kind of nods and says, "Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not going to address it verbally at the moment, but he'll say, you might be right. I think the song that I've heard in both places, the resonance between them, the similarities, there should be a thread that we can pick up here. But I think he says, yes, I'll just, I'll need all your help to find it, I think. We just need to, and then he kind of maybe cocks his head a little bit, and he's like, does anyone have a map of the area? And I think if not, he probably is like, what am I thinking? He pulls out his cell phone and just, you know, pops up a map, and he's like, it's like these two, and I'm looking at the two places where the cradle is and where this technocracy is. I think his idea is to kind of start pretty much dead between them and kind of like circle out to kind of just start to ferret things out. And does he notice anything specific on the map in the general area of the center or anything like that?
Certainly, there's probably there's an old public hall that you know has been turned into one of those sort of indoor markets. There'll be, you know, an old church there. There's probably a graveyard that's next to it, kept, you know, for historical. So there's a lot of that sort of old city center of matting from the colonial days that you'll be able to see there, and it's a good place to start. What is the magical talent that you're using to do this? The sphere thing. What do you think this is?
To do what in particular?
To find this, is it your etheric senses that you think is doing this?
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah,
all
I
right.
think.
Yeah. Is that your affinity sphere?
Sorry, which sphere is that? I'm trying to know.
I think that's still prime.
Yeah, my affinity is prime.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's start. So we start here with this. This is coincidental magic. We started at a +1. This is your affinity sphere, so we give you another +1. What is your tool or focus for this?
I think it's so are we still looking at the map, or are we like assuming we're already out looking?
You tell me. Where would you like to, how would you like to do this?
I would be interested in kind of having a moment where it's like I just kind of turn to everyone and I show the map. I'm like, well, here's the cradle, here's the technocracy where it popped in. Best place I can think to start is right in between them, you know, kind of maybe gradually widening circles, you know, kind of between them to see if we can find any window towards this dragon engine, whatever that is. Seem reasonable?
I like it. Start simple. Plenty of time later to get complicated.
So yeah, I find it interesting if we're kind of all like in the like that. Do we still have access to that limo?
Oh, of course you do.
Excellent. Yeah. Then I'd like us kind of just driving around in the limo. And
I suppose we need to drop off our charge as well, don't we?
Yeah, we can flash back to that if we need to, but you've dropped her off probably with Fabrizio. Yeah. I assume.
And as she's leaving, I think Clay like leans over and like stage whispers to her like, "Dibs on Fabrizio."
Shirt cheeks go red when you say that. Okay. All right. So you are trying to sense something. This is not a
Yes.
thing that the world will react to, since you are passively reading the world rather than creating a change in it. This is your affinities here. So we'll get to a +2, personal to a +3. This is a wide-ranging effect. So we'll drop back down to a +1 on that.
+1 forward from my inspiration.
So
Yes.
roll with a +2.
I just realized, could someone drop the link to the
Oh, yeah.
the rolling room? I'm sorry, I couldn't find it when I
Grab
was
it.
looking before the
Copy.
session.
Do.
Sorry for not having that ready.
No, that's all right. I have a funny story about rollers later.
Alrighty. Okay, so that's going to be you said, so now we're at plus
+2.
with +2 with the inspiration. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, here we go. That's 2 1s I rolled, so we got a total of a 4.
Total of a 4 there. Well, number 1, the storm is going to gather for you.
Which puts me at 5 of 5 there.
Yeah, and that gives us the opportunity to look up and see exactly what that does with the casting here. Let me find this. There's the spheres. Let me grab the PDF here, because otherwise.
It's on the special systems tab too.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Apparently, I actually planned for this. So when you push reality, it takes note, reckoning certain events may cause a storm to gather. Okay. All right. You get to erase all those moves, all those notes, all those storm gathers. Storm gathers and reset that to 0, because now you're going to make a paradox roll.
Sounds exciting.
What is your paradox modifier?
Currently at 0.
That's a thing. So why don't you make a paradox roll, accumulate paradox. When you gain paradox, add it to your paradox modifier. When a storm breaks, roll with your paradox modifier.
All right. Re-rolling those 2 dice. Here we go. That's a 9 unmodified.
That is a 9. So you will extend your senses out, and as you are kind of pushing that, you realize just how much of this sort of resonant magic and stuff is happening, especially once you get towards the center of town, where it gets loud, and it's at that moment that you realize, as you're kind of concentrating, you're drawing it, and you're filtering all of that, and you kind of feel the crackle, and you feel something move inside your left ear. And it's like there's an insect in there, and it's doing that crinkling sound that you get when your ear is kind of stopped up, but at the back of it you can also hear it kind of whispering just very quietly at the very back of it as well. And you realize that something has kind of snapped, that the magic has snapped back on you. What do you do, Thomas?
What do you mean by snapped back? Just to
Like
clarify.
you've probably when you first started, you probably mucked around with things, and things every once in a while you could tell that the world kicked back. Sometimes it inflicted harm on you, sometimes it hurt you, and sometimes weird shit went down. This feels like the world is gone. Here's the hammer. Here's the response of the world to you playing with the laws of reality. And it's this paradox effect going on right now.
I think Thomas had been kind of sitting there with his eyes closed. I think he's maybe kind of like, sitting by one of the windows, and he maybe even had his head kind of resting on it, and he's kind of like been like tapping at, maybe he's just got his hand resting kind of on the door handle, right there, and he's just kind of like been tapping at it. And I think the tapping was kind of starting to fall into a pattern that just kind of got a little more frantic, and then I think he freezes up, and then his eyes open like incredibly wide, and he puts a hand over his ear, and I think you get a soundless scream out of him. I think it's a like a moment, like I don't think anyone notices this kind of coming on, but all of a sudden his mouth is wide open, he's got veins sticking out, his face is turning red, and he's got kind of this absolutely 100% soundless scream that is and he's starting to writhe with whatever's happening here.
Is everybody in the back of the limo, or is anybody on shotgun?
In the back.
Okay, on the back of the limo. Then as he does that, you hear the be kind of thrown as the limo comes to a stop, like a sudden stop. And then you hear the of bullets hitting the front of the car. And then you hear the of your driver, Tyler.
Oh, fuck.
See, I was going to say something earlier, but I was afraid something like this would happen. That dragon thing, I tried to talk to it earlier. Things just went crazy.
Somebody check on Thomas. Are you all right?
I don't think he's responding at this point. I think he's at this point like falling. He didn't have a seatbelt on. He's on the floor in this limo, like writhing with one hand over his head. And he's like, you can tell that he is actually screaming, but zero sound, like not even the sound of his breath, like, a true absence of any vibration, any sound is occurring at the moment.
I'm going to go see what's happening up front.
Clay, what do you do?
Yeah, well, Clay is good at healing people, I think. And does Thomas look like? Well, I guess like is he obviously wounded, or is this like a magic weird thing?
I think you'd have to kind of maybe do an epiphany move to kind of figure out what's going on here. Does that seem like a reasonable thing?
Yeah,
because you are mucking with sort of strange magics. So why don't you go ahead and roll with dynamic?
So an 8.
An 8. Would you do you want it to be vague, or do you want the storm to gather?
I'm fine with storm gathering.
Okay.
That seemed fine last time.
Yeah, you will realize you can feel that sort of weirdness of the paradox, like in his ear, Star Trek Wrath of Khan style. Like you can feel that weirdness there, and you know that you can get that, but that's not a thing you can do on the fly. You're going to need some time and space to be able to remove that from him.
Yeah, so I think Clay might just be like over him, kind of sensing, sort of, and looks to the other two, just like, this isn't his pattern. This is paradox. Just to make it clear to everybody.
Silas, what are you doing?
I'm crawling up towards the front of the limo to look out and see what's going on.
So what you see is that the limo is now turned at a slightly askew on the street, and you see there's a van that has stopped up ahead, and you will see this team. They've got their guns up. They've got the skull plastic face masks on. They look like your usual kind of Wechtheimer hired security force foursome that is coming up, and they've peppered the front, and they look like they're out of any bad bank robbery movie kind of thing coming up on you guys right now. 4 of them and a driver still in their van.
All right. Looks like we have a squad of Party City goons running at us with very large guns, and oh, that's a lot of blood. This is. Anybody got any suggestions? Goons? Anybody know how to deal with goons? I'm not good at goons.
I was like, okay, and I'm going to probably attempt to like push open a door so I could look out at them.
Absolutely, you can throw open the door. As soon as that door comes open, two of them will sort of just like, and brrr, and they light that door up. That window is gone out of the door. You'll feel the thud as it hits on that. Other ones are laying into the front window. The body is still jerking in there. Silas, you get that back spray from that.
Did I not mention they have a lot of guns? I feel like I said they have a lot of guns.
What do you do, Malachi?
I will, let's see, let me look at what I use for my tools. Yeah, okay. Excellent. I'm going to reach into my pocket and I pull out a deck of cards and just sort of, now that my window's been blasted open, the door open, and just sort of like toss them out. And as I do, they're going to kind of spread, and rather than just flutter out in different directions, they're going to kind of form up at the front of the car. And I am doing I'm doing force, let's see, where is it? Manipulate forces.
Okay.
I'm putting up a protective barrier against these bullets.
Well, let's have you use vulgar magic.
Yeah.
Yes. So
How crowded are things around here?
well, you're close to downtown. So let's start with the +0. Forces is not your affinity sphere.
It is not.
You are using a personal tool, so that's a +1.
I am.
You are fast casting.
I am.
And you're trying to essentially block all of their bullets, right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
So multiple targets. Do you have anything else you're going to bring to bear?
I'm looking. I don't think I have anything, but there's not a lot that I can pull in there.
Okay, so you're going to be rolling this at a -1.
Okay.
Now, before you go, you can, I believe, use your insight to give you advantage on the roll. You've got your friends nearby. Is there anything about what you know about them that is pushing you to try and get this right?
Let's see. It would be one of my insights.
Yeah.
And that doesn't give me advantage, does it? It gives me a +1.
That's right. It gives you a +1, which is still nice at this point.
I just don't. Yes. Though I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to. Silas measures 10 times to cut once and needs to be prodded to act. So I say, I'm going to cover us. We've got to do something to either get out of here or stop them. As I yell over towards Silas, but I suppose I'm using that insight as my +1, right? Is that what it is?
That sounds good.
I think he'll yell back. Oh, fine, you take the gunners, I'll take the van. We need a car.
All right. So I'm rolling it even, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Oh, come on. Stay. You stayed. That's a 7.
That is a 7. On a 7 and 9, the effect happens, but add +2 to your paradox modifier. The storm gathers, and you must choose one. It's not as powerful as you wanted, or you add +3 to your paradox modifier instead of +2.
Oh, we got to get out of this. So I'm going to add one more to my paradox modifier.
So those cards go up, they form that shield, and they blast, and people see bullets bounce off of playing cards hanging in the air. There.
You should try to forget this.
Let's come back to Thomas. Thomas, you've had a chance to you're still screaming, but what are you doing now? Now you've heard again, I don't know if you've ever had it where one of your ears has actually gone out, where you get that mono sound on the other one. You're kind of getting that, and you're hearing what's going on. The sound of the bullets is sort of clicking through, and now the coppery smell of blood inside the cab of the car here.
Question. You mentioned that I was hearing that it was whispering also. Do I get anything from that, or is it just like gibberish that I can't make sense of, or what?
Kind of concentrate for a second, and you realize it sounds like a numbers station. Do you know what those are? Number stations are these weird radio broadcasts that they pick up. Sometimes they don't know where they come from, and it's just a woman's voice going 1, 1, 3, 5, and you realize that's what this thing is doing. Is it's just reading out numbers in an attempt to just cause you distraction.
Am I getting the sense that this is a physical thing in my ear, or is it?
No, it's definitely a magical construct, a paradox spirit that is there that you're going to need to take time to get out of this, to disperse this flaw you have right now.
Okay. I think kind of the initial reverb, awfulness of this is kind of finally dispersing a little bit. So I guess, he's starting to kind of be a little more aware of his surroundings, and he's hearing these numbers read off to him. And gosh, I'm just trying to think if he could actually, what he could even do in this moment. I mean, if he's even...
Do you want me to have Clay go first and you think about it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I think at the moment,
and Clay's been kind of protecting you. You hear through your good ear now. You hear what he's saying. Clay, what are you doing? Someone has just done vulgar magic in front of witnesses. All bets are off.
Yeah, and are these folks? I assume. I mean, they're blocked temporarily, but I assume they're still pretty aggressive.
No.
Okay.
They're like, what the fuck? Like, they one of them keeps firing because he's like, this is what is going on? Like but you could tell that these four are not prepared to see playing cards form a force field in front of a limousine.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was about to just try and hurt them, but now I don't know. I mean, yeah, they are still holding guns. I think I'm gonna try and do this anyway. Although he'll feel worse about it maybe. But
what do you want to do?
So, okay, I have an idea. So, especially after I think Silas was saying so much blood up there when he got there. Yeah, Clay's like, oh, did someone say blood? And just maybe does one of these to Thomas, just all right, you hold yourself together, girl. I got things to attend to. And I'm gonna go over to this theoretical dead driver, dying driver.
You can reach through to the front seat where the driver is at.
And I think he's gonna say to the driver, I'm so sorry, honey. I hope you're doing okay. Hopefully we'll get out of this.
That driver is dead.
And he's like, but I got to borrow something. And I think he just takes his hand and just gets it in as much blood as he can and just puts it over his face. We're ready. And he's like, I got enough, but I feel there's a more dramatic way to say this, but he's like, I want to double the blood that I have right now. And he's going to bring the blood from them. And that's the spell I'm casting, hopefully.
Rend life, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Then this is vulgar magic in front of witnesses.
For sure.
This is your affinity sphere. You're using a very personal tool to you at this point. So I'll say that's a +2. And in fact, let's say I'll even give you a +3 for it being a unique tool, being the person who's been a friend to yours using their body for this. So that's +3, -1 for fast casting, minus another 1 for multiple targets. So that comes a +1. Vulgar magic in front of witnesses is a -1. So you're rolling at a straight 0.
Yep.
Are you invoking any insights?
Yeah, I don't know if I could justify either of those.
Okay.
Let's just
roll.
see what a dice
Roll
roll.
with a +0.
Hey, not bad. Oh, these dice haven't been moving today. This is great. So a 9 total.
A 9 total.
Almost there.
So the storm will gather. So raise that by 1. You have 2 choices. It can be not as powerful or effective as you were hoping for, or you can add +3 to your paradox modifier. Otherwise, you just add +2.
Yeah, +3 is rough.
But you'll have full effect of this on multiple targets if you do +3.
It's true. Actually, no. I guess I won't actually, based on them kind of not being as aggressive or at least confused. Maybe he's making a point not to go out to try and kill them. Hopefully, this will scare them, but we'll see.
Yeah. So add 2 to your paradox modifier, and you will do that, and we will see the and blood comes out of those face masks and stuff, and they're falling back, freaking out, what the kind of police? What got some kind of sonic weapon? Something? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. They knew we were coming, and they're clearly falling back, and their driver is trying to do a quick Yui here, because he sees that this whatever they're doing here, this robbery or kidnapping they were trying, has gone terribly wrong for them. But on the other hand, people on the street have seen all this, so let's come back to Silas. Oh no, actually, Malachi first, and then to Silas.
Oh, I think it's Silas next.
Oh, is it first? Silas. They're running back for their van. They are freaked the F out.
Yeah, which is great and all, but unfortunately, on top of all the other things, they shot our car.
Yes.
And now we're stuck in the middle of a crowded, sleeper area with everybody going, why are those playing cards doing that? So
why is that blood spraying through the air in a stream through the playing cards into that limo?
So we don't have a lot of time. I would love to do this a more elegant or thoughtful way, but we're just going straight drugs here, as he is pulling out the weirdo, nasty, complicated magic. I think he reaches into his jacket, he pulls out like a small glass vial, unscrews the top, and just like sniff through his nose there. And let's see, I think I'm going to start with Empower Thought to understand a lot of different sensory inputs. So I'm going to throw in the immediate spatial perceptions and time sense, as everything comes down to this like metronomic precision. Sense thoughts and emotions, specifically on these guys, to like try and get just a second's heads up if any of them turn towards me to attack, and we'll just finish that off with a time contraction, as he's hearing his heartbeat slow, he's hearing and seeing like all of everything. I think we get like a close up on his eyes, and his pupil like dilates out, and you see the eyes sort of darting around until he just like thinks clearly, and his head like reaches out, grabs the door of the limo, rolls out, and goes dashing towards the passenger side of the van as it's, in slow-mo doing this U-turn to come around.
So this feels pretty vulgar.
Oh, yeah, he doing fast running.
Okay. So vulgar in front of witnesses. It is your affinity sphere is included in the equation. It is a personal tool that you've mentioned, your drugs. So we're at a 0 at that point. You are fast casting, which is it takes it to a -1. What do you think into your? I don't think we'll do the multiple effects things, even though you are doing multiple.
It's an obnoxiously complicated spell, so I don't.
Yeah. Let's give you that another minus on that. I think it's going to take you to -2.
And I think I'm going to spend an insight where Malachi's been scarred by hit marks. And I know this isn't quite that, but this is some attack from the technocracy. I'm afraid this is going to get to Malachi, and he's the only one that seems to be really holding it together. I don't know if I exactly count Clay dancing in blood and laughing as holding it together.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
So we need to get out of this before this gets any worse.
So roll with a -1.
Oh, jeez. It went from a failure to an insulting failure. That's a 2.
So add +3 to your paradox modifier.
Super.
The storm gathers. And I think there is a thing as you're running up towards it that one of the guys is running and he hits the side of the van, and when he does so, his gun just bizarrely goes off in his hand. And there's that moment where you can see the bullet and you're like, that bullet is coming right through me, through my heart, unless I use all of the energies of this to step a little bit to the side. And you do, and you're going to take 2 harm.
Ow. I had such plans, you guys. It's going to be a Jason Statham movie. It is not now.
Dr. Malachi, you see Silas goes out and he goes like a blur, and then poof, he's on the ground.
This is not going well.
Those guys are in there, getting in the van. They're trying to slide the door shut and drive away. You're not sure whether they're going to try and drive over Silas while they do that, but probably not. They want to get the F away from this, you guys are defended by some sort of weird, like advanced military crowd dispersion thing. They don't know.
Right. And this is sort of, I'm sort of less worried now about them. Hopefully they're just running. I really need to get us out of here.
That's a good idea.
I want to just quickly assess, is the car, have they busted the engine or?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it ain't gonna work. God. Quick scan around. Do I see any cars nearby?
Well, I don't know. Would you like to have a car nearby? Because you could do that by a strange coincidence. Or do we just want to roll on a standard basic move roll? Because otherwise, that will be a dynamic roll for escaping from danger.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I think probably, yeah, running for it is probably, I guess, what we're doing now. I'm going to rush towards Silas and yell towards Clay, grab Thomas, and attempt to flee. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of stuff here, but they've shot up my car, so I'm guessing, is there smoke pouring out of it?
Of course.
All right. What I want to do is grab our people, and as we run, the cards will drop because I don't want to hold something I'm about to cast, and so I don't want to have a concentration minus as well. But I'm going to, as we run, kind of just this is perfect. As we cross the streets, so I'll use the crossroads, I'm pushing back with force manipulation or manipulate forces to have the car explode. That should at least take away some of the evidence of us.
Well, let's have you roll the magic first.
And I'm hoping that'll be coincidental because it's a car that is smoking. That doesn't sound like it's particularly vulgar. It should be expected it might explode.
You know, I'll give you that. It's not your affinity sphere.
No. There are witnesses, I suppose.
There are witnesses.
Doesn't matter if it's coincidental, though.
No, it doesn't matter for that.
Oh, true.
So
Cinema has taught us that cars will explode at the drop of a hat.
Everyone is expecting it to explode.
So we're at a 3. You're fast casting. And without even a moment to concentrate. So we'll give you the +2 on that one. I could impose other modifiers, but I'm going to be a generous GM.
Love you. Well, it didn't help. I rolled a snake eyes.
They led us to a trap. This is obviously a paradox hole.
Unbelievable.
That car goes up.
Uh-oh.
It goes up. And there is that moment when you're looking and you're like, yes, and now we've got it. And that's when the piece of the engine block hits you upside the head.
Oh, no.
Take 2 harm as you are smashed to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Silas, you and Malachi are laying in the street, car exploding, burning, all these. Now every single car alarm in a 2-block radius is activated. Windows have been shattered out. People are screaming right now. So let's check in with Clay and Thomas. I'm assuming you got out of the car. We'll just take that as a given. Would you like to try and run away? Is there something you want to do magic-wise?
Don't do magic.
What about you, Thomas?
Yeah. All right, just so that I get the picture right now. So Clay is on his feet.
Right now,
both Malachi and Silas are down.
Yeah, Malachi and Silas are down. You and he. Right now, we're in like Paul Greenglass Bourne identity. You know, we're in all shaky cam, and the cameras were getting shots. The quick cuts back and forth. People running and stuff. Smoke. We can't quite tell what the geography of the situation is.
Yeah. So I think like. Clay, tell me if this sounds reasonable, but I think I'd probably been like leaning on you as we were getting out of the car, and then all of this is kind of happening around us. I think there's a moment where, like, you know, camera kind of gets into Thomas's face a little bit, and his eyes kind of clear as he realizes what's actually happening, sees Malachi and Silas on the ground, and you see like, okay, a little bit of the, you know, shell-shocked, you know, thing that he had going is kind of fading a little bit here in the crisis. And I think he pushes off of Clay, not like, you know, trying to shove Clay or anything like that, but starts moving towards Malachi, and is like, Clay, get Silas, we have to get out of here. And I think Thomas is going to attempt to kind of get over to Dr. Malachi, get him like kind of propped up to the point where he can get like an arm or something over his shoulder and try and just like limp him off the street here. And I don't even know what direction he's heading, but he's going to probably try and head to whatever the nearest building is at the moment, just to get off the street, and hoping that we can get everyone out of here to regroup a little bit.
Absolutely. Why don't you, right now, I don't think it's a question of running away. That'll
Yeah.
come later. I think
Yes.
this is you facing down a physical hardship. So
Yeah, that
can you
sounds
please
reasonable.
roll hang tough for me?
All
As
right,
with
what is
questing.
questing? Oh boy, that's fun. That's a -1 for me. So let's see how this goes. That -1 brings me to a total of a 2 on that roll.
Okay. I'll come back to you two in just 1 second. Clay, what are you doing?
I love how we're all leveling up on this. Yeah, I think I mean Thomas had a good suggestion there. I think I'm gonna run over to Silas and try and do that same thing. Try and just kind of, shoulder him and get out of here.
Hello. Hi, Clay. I don't mean to alarm you, but I appear to have been shot. I would hate to bleed all over your jacket. It seems very nice and expensive.
Can I have you roll questing as well, Clay?
Yeah. How am I at that? Oh. Not the worst. Okay, a 9.
A 9.
Broke our streak.
On a 7 to 9, you endure the hardship, but you can suffer 1 harm or the storm gathers. Let's see here. I think the storm will gather as you kind of run off the street. As you see through the smoke, you see Thomas and Malachi hit this door like to go inside this building. And the second they pass through that doorway, they vanish. Do you follow them?
I think much like I just did, I think he's just like, ah, and like, God damn it. And yeah, I think I have to.
Through the doorway. Let's take our break. We'll be back at 9:30. We'll give ourselves a good long break here to catch our breaths, and then we will continue on.
I am at 4 out of 5 storm with a +3 paradox.
Well, at least we know something's going to happen.
This session has, oh god. What did we do to roll for your party? Why is it sworn a blood vendetta against us?
That was
Paul
bad rolls.
Beakley from Indie Game Reading Club has been running Impulse Drive, and he's at the end of the campaign, which, as you know, Impulse Drive, you can get up pretty high. And he was like, I thought at the end of the game was going to be just kind of competence porn, but the die roller did not want that to happen. And apparently their last session was just a cavalcade of misses.
Oh,
I got a new move.
oh nice! What'd you get?
I think that this has knocked some sense into me in this idea that I wanted to be all subtle and not be terrible, but clearly I was a combat mage at one point. I've taken matter, basic transmutation, but since I have things to go along correspondence-wise, I can turn the air into fire or a person into a statue.
Wow.
That's wild. And not vulgar at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get a chance to rest, and our die rolls are not good enough to help us ever, so I don't know how to abate any storm at this point. Oh, geez Louise, that was just something.
That was wild.
We got totally annihilated by mooks.
We frightened and mildly inconvenienced them in return, so there.
They took some damage.
Oh, that's true. Some of them did bleed out all of their holes. That's true.
So I think there is that absolute disorientation, and for those of you who have correspondence, that recognition of transit, and the kind of takes you a second to orient yourselves, and you're in a big metal room, like it's metal floors, metal walls. You can tell that there are panels for things to kind of fall back, and you feel that thrum all around of the machinery of the building, all of that kind of resonance of technology, that paradigm imposing itself around you. And you kind of stagger there for a second, Thomas, Tyler, Thomas Malachi, and you'll see a door open, and you'll see a trio of figures come in, just as Clay and Silas kind of pop in behind you. And though you haven't seen them before, Malachi, Thomas, given the descriptions, you will recognize the little villain with laser hands and death elbow seem to be the people at the back. And the figure that Clay has seen before, Copernicus Dusk, tall, they're all dressed very nicely. You can tell they're all packing foci and equipment. And he says, well, I wasn't sure that was going to work.
Clay, it's more of a trap. It's death elbow. It's more of a trap.
And they stay still. Which of you is in charge of your motley?
Silas half passes out to his knees and throws up a little.
So not him.
Is Malachi even conscious at this point, or is he
I
like?
think I'm bloody and battered and probably a bit stunned, but conscious. To harm, I'm hurt.
I think Thomas, being kind of probably the one that's closest to them and holding Malachi up, just says, just in an exhausted tone, I mean, like no real emotion to it or anything. I think he points to Dr. Malachi and says, I'd usually say him, but we're a little worse for wear at the moment.
And Copernicus gestures, and you will see the metal of the floor shift, and like sort of a special effect of the movie, kind of that liquid mercury chairs will kind of form up out of the floor. And he says, why don't you four sit down, and why don't you look to your wounds so that we can have a conversation.
I'll go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I just wanted to make a joke. I think Clay says, I'm loving this Flight of the Navigator realness, I guess. I'll give you that. Just has a seat.
That one I know, Disney.
Thomas will definitely help Dr. Malachi into a chair and start, taking a gander at the head injury he's sustained.
And I'll kind of reach down into one of my pockets, and I have a bottle there, and you may see that on it is oxycodone, but I pop one, and I'm going to attempt to heal myself, though it's probably a horrible, horrible mistake to try.
Absolutely.
Magic has done nothing but help us tonight.
This is coincidental, but
good.
you have an area that is working against you very deliberately right now. So that's going to be a -2 on that. So you're going to be at a -1. This is healing your affinity sphere, you would say?
It is not.
Okay. What are you using? A personal tool?
I am drugs.
Okay. So we'll give that to a take you to a 0, I believe. Then
0. Yeah.
But I don't think there's any other penalties because I think you can have time to kind of catch your breath and cast this.
Okay.
Why don't you roll?
Okie doke.
And then I'm going to check in with Clay and Thomas and Silas.
I get a 7. It was boxcars again for a second until one of the ones turned to a 6.
Then I think on that basic moves, I believe that let's 7 to 9. Is it not as powerful or effective as you hoped, or does the storm gather?
Well, let's see. I'm doing a heal self, which does, in its description, it says, can get rid of conditions or heal harm.
Mm-hmm.
In your interpretation, does a casting of it do 1, or would it have healed me normally? Would a weaker do 1? Or what would a weaker look like in this?
I think the easiest way for us to read it right now, and we'll do it for just this situation, we'll say normally would have healed you 2, but this would heal you 1.
Okay. I think I'll go with that.
Okay. And he will gesture and he will say, I'm going to politely ask that all of you restrain from any more castings while you're here. You're in a technocratic stronghold, and I'm more than willing to call down the rest of the troops here. But I'd rather have a conversation with you right now. Now, I will, and he'll look at you, Clay. I have a first aid kit that I will be glad to hand to you that you may use on your other friend.
That sounds fine. Any wet naps? With the blood all over his face?
Yes. He says, yes, there are sterile pads in there for you.
Well, aren't you a darling?
Excuse me,
He
Doctor.
steps up close by, and he will reach out with this thing and hand it to you.
I don't mean to be a pest, Dr. Malachi, but if you have a few extra. I don't know if I've told you, I have been shot recently.
See that, and I'll hand the bottle over to you.
Oh, thank God. He'll just start chewing on some of those and lean back and let Clay, I don't know, attempt something.
Clay, it is a magical first aid kit. You can use it if you want. What does it look like when? What kind of like technological magic does it look like when you use it?
Oh, I think it's one of those like super tropey, stereotypical like sci-fi things where it's like looks like a little gun and there's like a glowing like bottle you put in the top and you just do one of those. Oh, like the Star Trek, like psh,
Yep,
those things.
And like it'll clearly like automatically like pull the bullet out and like that'll drop to the floor and hit with a ting 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 ting.
Oh, that was in there, was it? Okay. Fun.
You'll heal both your harm, Silas. The pain, however, is still there.
Oh, well, that's
For the moment. You're chewing on
helpful.
the oxycodone, but let's say, my name is Copernicus Dusk. You are not Crucible staff members or Crucible personnel as far as I know. So, why don't you tell me who you are? Anyone. I'm gonna leave this open. I know that you met my colleagues and there was a misunderstanding yesterday.
As you've already guessed, we are tradition mages. Other than that, I don't know what you'd like to know about us. We're here because something strange has happened in this town and we were sent. You're part of the something strange, by the way.
We're from outside of your loop, your time, pocket, spinny, whirl, whatever you've been in for a decade or so.
See him like that clearly like confirms, like he had suspicions and that kind of clearly confirms for him. And he says, you've been awfully quiet. And he looks at you, Thomas. Who are you?
When you ask who I am, what specifically are you looking for?
A name would be
A
enough.
mundane name?
Absolutely. What should I call you,
Thomas.
sir? Thomas.
You can call me Thomas.
Excellent. So, I have some questions for you. If you can answer them, we can perhaps come to an understanding here, because I've been watching you and it doesn't seem like the Crucible is continuing their assault on us. It doesn't seem like you're part of an attack force sent from them.
Not hardly.
That would be my assumption. Where is Caesar?
Do I know that name? Just out of curiosity, does Thomas have any idea what? Okay.
No,
Okay, yeah. I think so. I think Thomas tries to play it kind of cool, but you can see he kind of looks around at his compatriots here, and it's like
Buried somewhere in Rome, presumably?
it's like, I don't know who you're referring to.
There's that monkey from the movie.
and he's about to ask which movie, and then you see him kind of just because our leader, Caesar.
Sorry. Never heard of him.
He activated the defenses when well, not you because you're not from the Crucible, but when the Crucible did their final assault. He's the one who activated the
It's
defenses
like
that.
the Crucible's president or dean or whatever. He also went like poof. Machine made them all fry up in time.
They say they were under assault by you.
That is a lie.
I think that perhaps you've both been played.
And Clay kind of is like, I didn't pay a lot of attention in history, but wasn't Julius a Caesar? Wasn't that the name of that guy, Julian?
Oh.
What do you mean?
Well, we're looking for Julian too, and
Who is Julian?
The head of the Crucible.
Went poof when they were under attack and they started their defenses.
You know,
Yeah.
your enemies from down the street. Led by a mysterious, enigmatic leader.
And
Set up a big ritual to deal with the ultimate threat.
You see his demeanor kind of he's been playing it very cool. He kind of stands up and starts pacing. Tell me everything that you know about the Crucible. What you've seen.
They're really uptight. They don't like you moving anything around. Also, not a one of them has any idea what's going on. I mean, they're just sort of running around in circles looking for things to push and like a button that'll fix everything, but they don't really understand what's going on with their stuff.
You see the two back behind him, like you see one of them turn to the other one, and you can read the look in their eyes. It says, yeah, we know what that's like. Like they look at each other and so we're of the technocracy, you're of the traditions. Now the question I have is, why should I let you go?
You say you're of the technocracy,
Yes.
but I should tell you, you're not of the technocracy that's here.
Let me have you have an epiphany here.
Actually good at that, so I'm sure I'll at least get a 3.
At least a 3.
Are you changing? I got a 10. A friggin' 10. Let's see.
You can tell that he knows that. He doesn't want to admit that to himself. And he's trying to play this cool. And you can write that down as an insight on him if you want.
Okay.
He'll say, and he pulls out another one of these like first aid kits and kind of drops it on the chair and he goes, I have to go consult with the rest of the groups. I have to call a general meeting. You four will stay here while I gather our dozens of people together to discuss things. And he says, we will be back and we will have discussed things. You're in our abode here, and I'd rather not have to activate further defenses. So if you will wait, heal up calmly, then we can have a discussion when all of this is done.
All right.
And he'll gesture for the two to go out for him, and he'll go out the door and leaves the four of you in this room.
All right, bye, officer. We won't cause any trouble.
Well, folks, I don't know if I trust trying to make our privacy shield that I did back at the other place, but So we found that both sides are completely fucked, eh?
Yeah, they lost all their people too.
Yeah, there's a whole string of lies with that oh so many boundless troops we've got thing. Thomas, you okay? Clay, you all right?
I think you get kind of a twitch of his head, and he says, "I'm getting there. Better than I was. How's your head?"
It hurts like hell. Clay, you're covered in blood.
I'm really sorry about that again.
Well, mostly the blood of our enemies. I mean, not the first time.
Well, my guess is they're going to come back and they're going to have realized that they've been played. And Clay, that was really smart. Julian, Julius, and Caesar. That's clever.
Well, you can't sneak a pun by me. I'll find them.
Do we think, just to throw this out here, that may be the dragon of the engine? Do we think?
Maybe, or just some idiot who thought he could play two sides off of the power.
He was, according to the Crucible, the only one who really could connect it to the machine. I don't know. What do y'all think? What do we do?
Oh, we sure don't wait for them to come back here. I mean, this is a technocracy place, right? There's got to be buttons or levers or something that we can push until everything alarms and explodes and catches on fire. Isn't that how you get out of these sort of situations? My head hurts. Did I tell you I was shot?
As much as I'd like to trust them, they did send a SWAT team after us.
I don't think that was them.
You
I'm
think
not
that was...
sure, but I think that might have been the real technocracy.
Yeah, it did seem curious to shoot us, then give us first aid kits to heal it back.
Seems more like maybe they were trying to herd us here, if anything.
Well, that's possible too. I'm stymied on them. We could try to run, but and I'll look around. It's what, featureless, just metal box, ain't it?
You're muted.
I would get through this session without that happening. It is that kind of featureless thing. You can feel the thrum of power, running behind. He's left these chairs formed up so you guys can sit. He's left his chair in place. He didn't have like the concentration to drop it. And yeah.
Question: would Thomas feel like, well, first of all, I'm not even sure if he's capable of it now with the paradox thing going on, but you'll have to tell me whether it is or not. But would Thomas think, so obviously they told us not to use magic in here.
Right. Essentially, the paradox flaw is an excuse for me to do a nastier hard move later on. So
Cool.
Yeah.
So would Thomas think, just based on his understanding of this and the magic, would he think that his more passive listening would trigger whatever magical like detection stuff they got going on in this little room or whatever? Or would he think that that's passive enough that he could at least gather some information here?
You could try it.
All right. I think, yeah. So I think you said this has kind of like thrumming behind the walls or whatnot. I think Thomas might kind of slowly stand up and kind of walk to a wall and kind of put his hand on it and be like, I'm at least going to try and see what we're dealing with here. And he might kind of close his eyes and just try and tune into that vibration to see what's happening.
So let's have you, I think this is coincidental magic. It is your affinity sphere.
Yeah.
And what's the tool you're using for this?
Let's see. I'm just looking at my character sheet to see if this matches up. So I have words and non-words and right vibrations. Like vibration is pretty much what I'm going
Okay,
for here.
that
I
seems
think.
perfect.
Yeah.
Take your time, give you another +1, -1, because just as when you cast or did things on the grounds of the Crucible,
Mhm.
you felt it pushing back.
Yeah.
That you have that exact same feeling here.
Okay.
So roll with a +3.
Yeah. All right. So I'm basically just trying to get some information about the room we're in and where, what we can do with what we've got, I guess.
Sure.
I don't have anything specific, I guess. Probably should.
We'll have you.
All right.
We'll do some study questions.
Well,
if you
13.
roll.
I rolled
Okay.
That's a 13 then, plus the 3. Yeah.
That is a 13.
Okay.
So what do you want to know?
Let's see. All right. So we got here by some type of teleport, we went through that door and it took us elsewhere, right? So I already know that we're not where we were.
Right. But you know where you are just because you've been by it, and you know that you're in that building that you were in. You can tell by the feeling of it. You've got that central vibrations. They clearly use correspondence magic to, join those points together so you fell through.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That's basic information. So
okay.
what do you want to know now?
Yeah, I'm interested in is this room, I'm trying to find out, is this room on the edge of the building, or are we somewhere in an interior where every wall, is just, through the wall is more building, or are we on an edge?
Why don't you take that to a meta scale? What is your intent? What is it that you want to do?
I'm trying to understand if escape is even possible at the moment in a way we've got 2 people seriously hurt.
Yes, it is, because much like the Crucible, they don't have their defenses organized. They don't have their stuff in place. He said that, they've got all these defenses, but like the Crucible, it's just the passive things that are going on. They haven't been able to harness or reset any of that stuff. So it is much more vulnerable than it would appear at first glance.
Okay. I think I mentioned that, and I'm like, their defenses are down, despite what he says. They don't have a serious way to respond to anything happening. We might have a chance here if we want to do something, or if we want to, I don't know. I look back and I'm like, or do we wait and see what he has to say?
God. I know what we have to do.
What?
I think Thomas says, I'm all ears.
We have to rearrange the furniture. It's the only thing in here we can redirect the magical grid, though. They don't have the security field controlled. It's just like the school. They didn't want me to move all of the furniture around because it was messing with their wards and the systems and how everything interacted because of how the magic was flowing through. We just need to rearrange the furniture in this room to, I don't know, something blow out a fuse, escape.
Well, we could try. Sure.
Feng Shui attack, I see.
Certainly, Dr. Rogers now has matter, so he can help you kind of move these chairs around. Would you like to exploit a complex system?
I would.
Then roll with pattern.
Roll with pattern. That's flat. Oh my God, that's a 10.
That is a 10. All right. Choose 2. You achieve your goal in timely fashion. You get everything you after. You get +1 forward, or the storm abates. Choose 2.
Ye gods, the storm abates, and you get everything you're after, but it takes a little while.
Okay.
Because we're moving furniture that's welded to the floor.
So tell me what that looks like. What do we see on screen happen, and then what is the moment where when we see that you've actually redirected the flow of magic here?
So I think what it is, because you talked about like the energy thrumming behind the walls and stuff like that. So I think it's a lot of Silas like leaning down and putting his ear on the floor and like calling Thomas over to be like, what does this sound like to you? And like trying to find particular places, and then like calling over the furniture, and then because it's moving furniture, there's like, and part of the it takes time is there's that phase of we move the furniture over here, and now Silas has to like look at it from every angle and keep telling you a little more to the left, no, adjust it, okay, just a little more clockwise. Until we get like these few chairs that we have lined up on one of the central power lines flowing through, and it's that thrumming sound. It's like the revving up of an engine and this sort of like torrent of more energy flowing along this one sort of pathway here.
And what are you doing during this process, Clay? I haven't heard from you for a little bit, so I want to check in with what we see of you on screen. You know, things are potentially about to go down.
Yeah, I picture, especially as the rearranging is happening, he's just like kind of with his arms crossed, like, I don't know, that looks a little too pretty. Can you move it that way? Yeah, okay, that looks ugly. Good, perfect.
Oh, that's brilliant. You have a talent for this. You really see these lines.
And when you get that finally cooked up, I think there'll be that moment when you'll see like 3 doors will open in this room. When all of those lines of patterns, like, and you will feel the building kind of fighting back against you, but you know that you've opened all the doors in the building. What do you want to do?
I move the furniture. Someone else has to choose a door.
We should, and because I'm surprised this worked. I look at, the 3 of you. We should run. Is that what we should do?
Yes, that is. We're trying to escape the evil clutches of the technocracy. Is that not what's happening? I'm on a lot of drugs, so I am open to a reinterpretation of my senses.
There's no point for us to try and go further, is there?
Further where?
Interior.
And Clay's like, well, I am curious. I also do like living a lot.
Let's run.
All right. So I need one of you to roll. I think this is run for it. That seem fair? Or do something shady if you want to be sneaky about your escape attempt. I'm good either way.
I think since we've got 3 doors open, does it look like, I mean, it's not like there's an immediate, oh, look, there's the lovely street. It looks like there's some going through doors, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say, Thomas, you're the best chance we've got at this. Just listen, find us the way out. And I think run for it because you're the best at it.
Yeah. I think, Thomas kind of hasn't even taken his hand off the wall as all this has been happening, and he's just been feeling the changes and the thrumming, and I think he just picks a door and says, sounds weakest from this direction, maybe closest to an exit. I don't know. We'll try it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think Thomas is going to duck out, peek out the door, and see what he sees.
Let's have you roll run for it.
Let's do it. All right, and that's plus dynamic, correct? Actually,
Yes.
I have a +2 there. Hooray. Okay. That brings me to a 9.
7 to 9, you get away, but choose one. You cause a big scene. The scariest person present gets an insight about you. You lose something along the way, or the storm gathers.
I think we absolutely cause a scene. I mean, I think we're not going sneaky here. All the doors are open. Yeah, I think that's the way we'll lean into it.
And I think we'll see that thing on screen where we see the four of you. You're all mages, but you're just booking it. Like you're running through these hallways. All the doors are open. I think we'll see that thing where there's probably like an interior courtyard. And you guys run up and like across the glass, and there's a courtyard, and there's glass, and you'll see a group of them across the way, and they're like, and they start gesturing, and then you start running, and they are chasing after you, and you'll definitely get the sense that there are only like 5 or 6 of them here, because as you're running through rooms and open doors and things, there's nobody here. It's like the Crucible. They've got very few people, and you will run out, kind of hit the front lobby doors. And there's that moment of transition when you go out through them where when you hit the doors and go open, there's a second of a kind of an illusion or something. And you see that the front outside of here, the stone, like the concrete around the outside, the grounds, it's just covered with corpses. Like the decayed skeletons like before. But once you kind of hit, 10, 20 feet outside of the building, that kind of vanishes and you'll hit the streets. And you can tell they don't follow you. Like you probably get up and you see Copernicus is in the doorway as you, and it's probably a moment where he's got that ray gun and then he lowers it down as the 4 of you take off through the streets.
Not our finest hour, Chubbs.
When you say that, where are we at? Are we at the bookstore? Are we at the cafe? Are we at the sanctum?
I think we have to hit someone else's sanctum. Again, unfortunately, the bookstore is somewhere that might be watched. And we've already seen Silas's, so why don't we see Thomas's this
Thomas,
time?
where's your refuge?
Yeah, so it's my little recording studio, my private little thing. So just to refresh my memory, so it's basically just somewhere here at the moment, right? Yeah. Okay, and it can kind of make sense or not make sense where it's connected to, or is that, or is it like a separate building?
They've done it to make sense, and it can be a separate building, or it can be part of an existing structure.
Okay, I'm imagining, okay, all right. I think we find like, it's like a strip mall with like, a few, businesses that are out, like have gone out of business and stuff. Mm-hmm. There's maybe 1 or 2 places there. There's like, maybe a teriyaki place and like, a little convenience store on the very end and whatnot, but most of them are out of business. And I think I just push my way into one of the abandoned businesses, and we walk our way towards the back, and I open the door to the women's restroom, and it's just black. You know how they have those like crazy, gosh, it's like foam that lines these things, like the pyramids on the walls. So it's like,
I've actually got that on the walls.
So you walk in, and it's just a space, probably not that big. It's maybe, maybe like 10 by 20, something like that. Okay. It's decent size, but like, yeah, it's just a space. He's got, instruments lying around, recording equipment, but most of it is relatively empty. And just, yeah. So I think he comes in, ushers everyone in, and shuts the door, and just like every bit of sound that was, street noise and, whatever other, just incidental things, the second the door shuts, it's just like, boom,
gone.
Yeah. Thomas. It's okay. Yeah, go for it.
Thomas, have you taken them here before?
I don't think so. I think this is probably the first time, and I just, as I get in there, I think you just, as soon as that sound is gone, there's just like a sigh of relief, and you see kind of Thomas's shoulders slump, and you're like, well, here we are. This will give us a little bit of privacy for the moment, at least.
Clay, what do you make of the aesthetics of this refuge?
Oh yeah, I think Clay immediately looks kind of uncomfortable, and Just like, oh, how can you spend your time in here? I mean, the sounds of the city is just what makes me feel like I'm not a peasant. I don't know. I don't like this at all.
To each their own, I guess. And I think in kind of a gesture of concession, he probably goes over to some of his equipment and maybe turns on a little bit of like background like classical music or something like that to at least have it not be like a no sound like vacuum. Yeah.
Nice.
A little better.
Yeah, I can handle this. Here, doll.
I think at this point, Thomas probably just checks in with Silas and Malachi and like, how are you holding up? I know we haven't really had much of a moment to look. He starts kind of looking at, Malachi's head and Silas's bullet wound.
I mean, if they're selling more of whatever that was, I'll take it. But I've had better days. Do you hear a sort of like constant, nonstop ringing in your ear that sounds highly judgmental?
I'm hearing numbers at the moment. No judgmental ringing.
Okay, so that's just me. All right, it's fine. I mean, that was all awful. It's not fine. Everything is terrible, and the city is filled with idiots who keep touching giant magical buttons that they don't understand, and everyone has guns?
Way too many guns.
Well, I suppose now we really need to decide what we're going to do. I think we've got a pretty clear idea that both sides in this particular conflict were doomed. I think we also can imagine that the other technocracy will be sending folks in soon enough. That message got sent. We also know that our side has sent us, so the likelihood of help seems rather small. Don't you have a friend here, though, Silas?
Oh my god, that's right. He pulls out his phone. I think there's like 20-something messages on it. You are muted.
Oh yeah, most assuredly. There are many messages. I think the most recent ones are, hey, that was really subtle. I was just watching the news and saw you on there.
Yeah,
along with David fucking Copperfield.
Didn't see me, though. I'm all blurry.
Yeah.
I'll give Viridian a call.
Call him up. He picks up on the first ring. Where are you?
Hey, in a recording studio?
God, are you editing this shit? Is that what's happening? You're going to send it out?
What, do you have a good feed of it? Because, I mean, it's not for wide, but you can always use some PR.
No, I'm very carefully going around and trying to erase this wherever I can around town.
Yeah, that's probably smart because crimes and stuff.
It's more than just the crimes thing, but yes, there is a factor of that in here. Yes. So yeah, that's what I'm busily involved with.
So
are you okay?
Well, I'm fine. I'm pretty high, and I've recently been shot, but I'm less shot now.
You want to put me on speakerphone?
I mean, sure, but I don't think any of them are in a less doomy mood than me. Hey, guys, this is Viridian. He's been studying the Crucible or the log cabin or something. Did you find out anything?
I got it turned down from log cabin to Hogwarts, effectively, esque looking building. We got that illusion that was causing all the paradox feedback down. It's still doing whatever kind of like harmonizing with the local area, but it's not going to cause a big paradox explosion from a buildup.
Have you noticed any other paradox buildups? Say it, and I'll give the address of Viridian.
Viridian.
Yeah,
His name.
that's him. Yeah.
Well, he says it's the same sort of thing. I mean, that it's that bleed off, but over there was much less. I mean, Silas took me around the areas before. I think it's whatever happened here had, I don't know, because I don't know. This seems really dangerous to me, and I've been trying to keep it quiet because I don't want technocracy or even our own people to come in here and freak out.
Oh, that's fine. You don't have to worry about keeping it quiet anymore. The technocracy's already on their way. Did you figure out what was powering all those spells?
Did you just say that the technocracy is already on its way?
Did I? I think so.
Dr. Rogers, would
Yeah.
you care to elaborate?
We had a little run-in with some techs that were here investigating it. It appears that the second installation, even though they consider themselves tech, none of the tech knew anything about them. And so they're sending a team in to find out what's going on. They think it's their traditions.
They were also running off of a dragon engine thingy.
Yeah. And we think they might, that it might be the same guy that was the leader of both sides who started it all.
Well, that's not cool.
That's
I was going to say, why don't I go and hide out in the Crucible, but you think that's not a good idea right now?
Unsure. The same guy / Two-Faced guy. He may be entirely crispy on magic, or he may have just been, I don't know, hiding in a pocket dimension for a decade.
It will never be a day when I get a straight answer from you, is there? That's just never going to happen.
I am telling you the straightforward truth.
Yeah, he's pretty close this time. It seems like both their leaders disappeared. We think it's probably the same guy. It was a manufactured crisis. Both sides thought the other attacked them. They initiated defenses and whoop.
What did you do to trigger the defenses a little while ago when this whole thing went down?
Is he talking about the chairs or?
Kind of like it goes, the coincidence wave.
Coincidence
wave?
Yeah. You were somewhere. That's apparently that's whatever the defenses triggered and sent those robbers after you.
They were a defense system?
We must have been near the engine. We were close. You had found it, Thomas.
Found a lot else as well, sadly. You saying we have to go back? And Thomas does not look happy at that idea.
I think it's the only chance we've got. I mean, I admit it's a Hail Mary. But our only other option is, well, get the fuck out.
Viridian goes, okay, well, I'm liking that option. So I will talk to you later, Silas. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you a call next time I have a job for you. Thanks,
Click.
Viridian. Bye.
You can almost hear the car starting in the distance. So
There's just the smoke billow, and he's gone. Look, guys, we could leave. Techs will come in here. They'll do a wipe. They'll clean up the mess, and they'll probably try and grab hold of whatever this powerful thing is. And in the process, they'll also kill everybody at the Crucible, I'm pretty sure, too. Or we could try and do whatever we can with that engine. It's probably powerful enough that we could shield away the crucible. Hell, it twisted brains pretty good before. It could, we might clean up the mess, but that's going to mean making the engine do what we want. And we have not been overly successful with that thus far.
Okay. Third option. So we have like this school full of magic teachers who sort of understand the engine, and this corporation full of like tech engineers that sort of understand the engine, and they're all basically fucked if one side or the other comes into the city and decides that they've been screwing everything up and they're not really a part of them. So what if we just sat them all down in a room together and got them to figure it out?
I look at Clay and Thomas.
Well, you know I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Thomas?
No. If they can all understand that they've been duped on both sides and hopefully be civil enough to at least exchange a few words first, an understanding could be reached. Maybe.
Maybe. We saw how techs were willing to deal with us.
I mean, to be fair, they were relatively nice after they'd captured us and imprisoned us.
I think they're confused and scared, and that could work to our advantage. Okay, well, what do we say? I suppose it comes down to a vote. Do we try and negotiate the two together?
Well, I definitely vote trick them into a meet cute.
Clay, what do you say?
Well, I was for it before, but after Silas just said meet cute, I'm absolutely for it.
Thomas?
I think I look around at everybody, just kind of look at the general shape that we're in. I'm like, if we were all whole and feeling our best at the moment, I probably would recommend we check out, give it another go at the Dragon engine, but I don't think we have that in us at the moment. I think diplomacy might be the only option for us right now.
Yes, let wiser heads get blown up on this angry engine.
Well, then it's unanimous. I agree.
So, I think that the good way to do this dramatically is maybe we split into pairs. This a different combo than we did last time. So we'll swap that up, and then we deal with two of you going to the school and two of you going to the technocracy. How does that sound? Silas, this was your plan. So who do you want to take with you, Malachi or Thomas?
I'll take Thomas.
Okay.
He's a much more appealing talker than me, and he does have that like burning bow of magical death stick. So there's that.
And where do you want to go? Are you going to the Crucible or to Convergent Dynamics?
I feel like if we go to Convergent Dynamics, I'm going to have to answer a lot of unnecessary questions about furniture.
Crucible it is. So Malachi, Clay, you up for going to Convergent Dynamics? Clay, this is a big public performance. Are you getting dressed up?
That sounds great. Yeah, for sure.
So we'll come back to that because I want to at least do a montage so we see what that looks like. But let's start with Silas and Thomas. You can return back to the Crucible. You can tell there's a lot of buzz and energy around. because there's a student and she's there, and there are all kinds of books on the table. And clearly each of them has come down and go, well, here's your basic, here's what I'm going to be teaching you, blah, 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 here, and has pulled out the textbooks for their classes. And Yumi looks kind of overwhelmed, but they're being incredibly hands-on, trying not to terrify her when you and Thomas come in. And March, who has been a little hostile to you, will come over and will say, well, thank you so much for bringing this young woman here. She has quite a bit of potential.
Yes, we have been looking out for your best interests, and our plans always go right. So once we found her, we figured the only place for her was this school, because her other school was in slight danger of being invaded by federal agents with guns, or maybe magic Nazis. I'm not sure.
You can tell she's figured that out, that maybe she just doesn't listen to the second half of your sentences. And she kind of aids that. She'll say, that's great. That's great. Now, I understood that there might be other students out there that your associate, Mr. Charles, had seen some other people that might be potential adepts.
Yes, I mean, the city could be filled with people, right, Thomas?
Absolutely. I think we still haven't tracked down all of them, but yes, there could be some students out there waiting for you.
Well, certainly we are prepared to take them in and protect them.
About protecting them, I assume the defensive systems are still a bit glitchy?
They are fluctuating, let us say. We are trying to work out the nature of that.
Well, you see, the world is a dangerous place, and you don't want to be going too long without the sort of defenses that could give you, and really you could, as I understand it, use some help interpreting and understanding the deeper workings of the engine?
Certainly. Understanding it before we get to, say, moving the furniture about.
I know, that would be an unfortunate first step, wouldn't it? It would just cause things to go haywire. But listen, what if we told you we knew of some other experts in the workings of the Dragon engine who could perhaps help you out with getting your defenses up before, say, the entire town is overrun with the might of the technocracy or anything? I mean, just spitballing.
The people you know?
Yes, we met with them recently.
Excellent. Well, anyone who is an associate with you with the tradition, certainly we're excited to work with them.
I'm going to remind you said that.
All right. Well, and I certainly met your friend who took off very quickly.
Oh, Viridian?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. So which of you wants to roll manipulate? This is dynamic.
I think it's got to be you, right? Because it's Silas. Because
another person could try to inspire them with questing. With that is our help move in this game.
I would not say no to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm mostly just kind of adding on to what Silas is saying, and I kind of just chime in. I think these other people that we've met, they might have the other, another part of the puzzle that would help us to really figure out how to handle this right now. It could be mutually beneficial to everyone. It seems good.
Let's have you. Who's helping? Who's doing?
I'm helping.
Okay, so go ahead and roll questing.
All right. That's a 4.
That is a 4. So you're not helping.
No.
I think the storm is going to gather for you. And it is that as you're talking, you'll hear that sound kind of get louder and louder in your ear and do that crackling, and you actually have to kind of step back and grit your teeth.
Yeah. My left eye is twitching, and I'm kind of pawing at my ear gently, trying not to do too much, but yeah.
Silas, let's have you roll dynamic.
Let's do that.
Any insights you want to bring into play?
Ooh, no, because that's an 11.
You can tell that she is desperate to get advice on this. And if you say, bring all your people, blah, 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 we'll meet with them, she's like, yes, we will do that.
Okay. On that 10 plus, I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to give her a condition.
Okay.
Willing to listen.
Excellent. On the other side, Clay, we haven't had a chance to see this yet. What do we see as you prepare?
Yeah, so I think if he's going to, go into drag, put on his war paint, as it were, I think if this were real serious, he would just like alter self to do it, without much work and make it kind of better.
So what does that look like? What is that? I don't want to say magical girl transformation, but what does that magic look like when you do that alteration?
I mean, funny you say that, because I was thinking magic girl transformation.
Okay. So what does it look like?
Yeah, I think maybe we're just the TV show is now in the bookstore or something, and there's like a dressing room or something, who knows why. But yeah, there's all these makeup things, like everything that you could imagine, like the whole, I'm picturing like a vanity mirror, and it's just, there's no surface left. It's just all makeup products. And then he just goes and like touches them one by one, and there's like some sweet music in the background, and as he touches them, they kind of just appear on him until he becomes her. And oh, go ahead.
It all flies, or there's some of it in the air, kind of the effect.
For sure. Yeah, until he becomes a Theoccult.
And what does Theoccult look like?
I'm glad you asked, because I found a really good
excellent
witchy drag queen picture to add. There we go.
Oh, nice. Good. Striking. So Dr. Malachi, you know that Thea is serious and has assumed this identity. And the two of you can head over. How are you approaching Convergent Dynamics?
We make a really cool gothy couple too. I mean, just take a look at the two of us together. That's a nice look. So what do we do as we approach?
Yeah, I mean, what does it look like? Do you two just walk on up?
No. We've got to make an entrance. We can't just walk up.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that the limo company would not be over eager to hire me on a new one.
Yeah, you probably have to go with another company.
Yeah, but so instead, I think that I will have made a phone call and hired us a hearse.
Okay.
Amazing.
And so we will come. No one should. You don't stop hearses very often. So we're going to just drive up to the front and.
Yeah. In the circle that comes around front, you pull up by the doors. It's again that weirdly the grounds there are kind of, people don't come and sit and eat their lunch around here. You'll go out and two of you can step up and the doors will whoosh, open.
I would like to make Thea lucky.
Okay.
Before we, do you mind if I cast on you, Thea?
Oh, absolutely not. You know, if you wanted to get lucky, we could have just discussed that in the limo. I mean, in the hearse.
Let's talk after all this is over. And
So that's coincidental.
okay, and I will be. I think what I did before. I think I'll spark up a joint, and we can pass that around. Certainly will help going into this. Calm the old nerves.
Let's have you roll with a +3.
All right. And I'm gonna pull. Well, I can't get above +3, can I?
Yeah, I'm capping it at 3, I think.
That makes sense.
Oh, and it does say, it actually says there. Oh.
That gives me an 11. No, I'm sorry, a 13.
On a 10 plus, you get the effect you want. So, Thea, you'll be rolling with advantage in this coming scene. You can tell that when you get into that lobby, again, you'll realize how empty this place is. But you'll see Copernicus has like clearly come down quickly. You know, the executive elevator's open. He's got some of his people with him, and he does that thing where he steps out and, you know, slows down so he doesn't look. And you see him look, and he's shocked because he thought it was just you, Thea. Because only now is he kind of seeing Dr. Rogers, because, of course, Dr. Rogers doesn't show up on their scans. And he says, will come forward, and he will say, well, this is unexpected.
We thought that we should have a more pleasant discussion than the last one.
Fair enough. And you are?
She's like, I'm the very spirit of diplomacy, my love. And she puts her hand out like that again.
And he reflexively takes it, and then he's, yes.
Oh, no need to stutter. This isn't the first time I've had so many beautiful cheekbones in the room at the same time. No, my name is Thea, and we're here to parlay.
All right. There's a first floor meeting room. Why don't we go over there and we can have a conversation?
Oh, and please, with natural exits this time, darling.
Make sure all the doors are opened. And yeah, he'll walk you over to a first floor room, opens the doors, make sure they're all open. You know, conference table. Again, much like the other place, that kind of empty. It's been kept up, but it's not particularly well used. And you get the sense that the full cohort actually comes down here, and you'll see the other two people that I put NPC pictures of that you haven't seen before. And he will say, you went away, came back. I consider that a mark that we can discuss things on even terms. What is it you want?
You have, as I said before, you've been duped, just like the Crucible has. And I think the reason for that is the leader you had, the leader they had, it's the same guy, and you're both pulling from a power source that he connected you to that neither of you can control. But you've become locked together. And the only way that this is going to get fixed is if you work together to unlock it. I should tell you, there's going to be consequences for what's happened here. And it's not just going to be us. It's not just going to be the Crucible. We're all going to be bugs under somebody's heel real fucking soon.
I always knew that the Fortress of the East would require defending. So, Thea, are you the one who's going to do the dynamic roll, or are you doing the assist roll for this manipulate?
Yeah. What do you feel, Dr. Malachi?
Well, if we just min-max things, I'm a little better at dynamic, and I'm terrible at assisting. But,
Oh.
I think that actually makes sense.
but you know,
Works for me.
you have the huge advantage. So, but yeah, why don't you go ahead and do the aid, and then
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
So I think she's going to I'm imagining we're just like sitting down like across from each other.
Oh yeah.
Gonna of course just put her like weirdly blue hand on Copernicus's knee and just like, oh, my darling, we all just want the same thing here. Just peace and love and progress. This just running in circles over and over again. You need to catch up to the world. It's going to pass you by. You need to listen to what my friend the doctor's saying.
Let's have you roll. Roll 3 dice plus your questing. 2 highest.
Oh yeah, I forgot the 3 dice. All right, let me get rid of these and start over.
That has been my go-to, is clearing that out.
Oh no, I cleared them all. I'm sorry, everybody.
That's okay.
Well,
that's actually good.
Okay. All right. Well, that gave me 10.
So you get to pick 2 from the assist list there. Give them +1 forward. Remove a condition. If they succeed, the storm abates.
Let's see. Is your storm pretty rough? Yeah. I might definitely going to give you that
Vigorous nodding. Okay.
I'll give you +1 forward. I choose 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll do, +1 forward and the storm abates for sure. Makes most sense.
I like the way that move's written.
Mm-hmm.
Dr.
Gets
Malachi.
an insight too.
Yeah. So, what is your tactic here, Dr. Malachi? Is it very much sort of officiousness, or trying to be more subtle in manipulations? You're going to be rolling dynamic, but what do you think your tactic sounds like?
What do you mean? What now?
Like when you're talking to them, what is your like key point to try and get them to go with you to this meet?
Okay. I think my key point is going to be that it's playing around with, you have this in common. This leader screwed you both, and they've put you in this horrible danger. And if you don't work together, we're all going to die. Well, y'all are going to die. We may run, but and I think that's the push. And I'm going to use my inspiration, because I know he's scared. I have one on him.
Okay, so yeah, you're going to use that insight to give yourself +3.
Yeah.
Let's see you roll.
All right. Submit. Stay. You did. That's an 11.
Choose one. You gain insight about him, or you give them a condition.
I think Patrick was brilliant there. I'm going to give them the condition, willing to listen.
And I think we cut to the place, the meeting place. Thomas, what is the meeting place?
I think, okay, so where we had been looking for the dragon engine, I'm imagining a corner on the like a little cafe on the corner there.
Okay.
And so yeah, I think it's like a maybe like a little diner or something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, I think
so. So a big Reservoir Dog style diner table with all of them around it. The camera kind of does the circle pan there. And Thea, what have you done to help set the stage here?
Okay, so actually, I've got this famous thing. I think probably more Thea's famous than Clay for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe beforehand, she's kind of used her clout to kind of, I don't know, like sort of rent the place out
Oh yeah,
or something like
absolutely.
that. Just like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to do some extra things. Oh, who am I? You've Thea cult.
And
That kind
you
of
can
thing.
tell, they're like, oh, we wanted to get you in for an for an evening, maybe you'd MC, blah 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 blah, and they'll be glad to put the sign up for a couple of hours for a private event then for
Yeah,
you.
and I think she's like, yes, I would love to check this place out to see if it's up to one of my shows, but my people need to come here, but I just don't want all these gawkers. If you could just clear the place out for half an hour.
Say no more. Say no more. And they will cut to it. I mean, and imagine that there's coffee, food. Imagine that all these people have had the same food or same style of food for a really long time, and so you could tell that they're listening to each other and talking, and they are willing to listen. And there's Copernicus will put out something that he knows about what's gone on with the defenses, and March will confirm that and then put out something more. And then there's sort of this general discussion and this thing, and there's a point at which in this sort of technical discussion that you will see June her eyes will get wide. She goes, so it is about rearranging the furniture. And Copernicus will go, if we do this, this is going to change everything. And they'll discuss that for a bit, and they'll say, the only way for us to do this is to merge the two buildings. And you can see there's reluctance. By the way, you notice that Thursday is not with them, the hit mark. They've not brought it with them here. So
Probably smart.
But that's what they say is we're going to have to create a tradition/technocracy stronghold, whatever that means. And they'll all kind of look at you for like, clearly we're going to need help.
I have so many designs. Brings out a giant portfolio and slaps it down on the table.
Let's go to epilogues. Let's start with Thomas. What is your epilogue? They literally and figuratively merge the two together to create a building that is kind of the best of both worlds, and a school/lab place. So what is it for you?
I think so. I mean, let's see. I think it's just a moment as kind of the progress of that is being done, and so like the buildings being, they're doing whatever they're doing magic-wise to kind of create this thing, and then maybe the camera kind of pans out further towards the street, and you start to hear just some really beautiful, cello, in the air, and you'll just see out front Thomas basically on the street busking. He's got a hat down, and he's just playing them a nice little tune as they're kind of going through this odd joining of opposites here. And
I imagine that the song you're playing is kind of complements and melds in with the two songs from the two buildings as that all comes together.
Exactly, yeah.
If we had like a Hans Zimmer score, we'd put all three things and we'd suddenly realize that they've all worked together all along, and we get all of those motifs at the same time.
Absolutely.
Clay/Thea, what is your epilogue?
Yeah, I think maybe as this new like convergent crucible kind of thing is established, I think Clay might stick around there and maybe take on the role. Maybe because Clay saw all of the like the faces in that fiery thing, which I always mispronounce into bras, but um, he's like, oh, this is kind of my job, and he kind of maybe leaves the bookstore there, and anyone who kind of seems to be paying a little too much attention to magic stuff is just like, honey, why don't you come here? You know, there's a place around the corner. Let's have a talk, kind of thing.
I think we'll see that shoplifter that they talked about before. Like when you cross paths, you realize that he's actually one of the people that you saw in your vision, and like he, and they've given him the books like you told them to, and he's come back and hung and out there, and then you cross paths and you're able to bring him in.
Oh yeah, and actually, if this was a visual, maybe have Clay like kind of behind the counter at the bookstore, like, interesting, and then walks over and just as Thea is like, I think you have some people to talk to. Let me introduce you. And then from everyone else's perspective, it's just the shoplifter and Clay walking away. But only he can, like, the shoplifter guy can see Thea.
Excellent. Dr. Malachi.
I think that, we've got the things starting to work here. They're trying to put these things together, and there's been a kind of unspoken amongst the faculty of the Crucible as they look at Thursday, as they get more and more worried about this coming together and how it's going to affect him. And I think you see Malachi kind of walking the grounds out front with Thursday, and he's like, first, we got off so poorly. I think that's a shame. We get towards the fence. And, in my heart, it's all about charity. And we see a homeless man amongst the trash cans there. Charity, comes in two forms. As I step out and I take a $1 bill and walk with Thirsty over closer to this guy. It's about giving. But and as Thirsty, I think, reaches into his pocket to hand something as well, Malachi will kind of reach out and pat the homeless man on the shoulder, kind of pat Thursday on his shoulder. Sometimes it's making sure that people get what they deserve. And there's this flare as their matter is turned to light and they are evaporated.
Clothing drops.
And I'll turn around and walk back.
And Silas, what is your epilogue?
So I think, much to the dismay of pretty much everyone at the Convergent Crucible, they pretty quickly realize that they have to hire Silas on at least for a semester or two, because for no apparent reason he seems to understand how the feng shui draconic geometry of this whole thing works. So we come into Silas's classroom there in the Convergent Crucible, where it's got a couple of the mages, the teachers and stuff. It's got Fabrizio and Yumi in there, and some of the other people that Clay has found and guided towards the school. And Silas is up at the front of the class, and he's just like, no, spin it. Okay, just spin it counterclockwise a little bit, as all the students have their desks moved around in this weird pattern, and several of them are standing on the back of their chair, and a couple of them are crouched, half holding their desk off the floor. He's like, Yep, there. And all the walls turn purple as just sparks begin falling from the ceiling. See, I don't know why it does this, but it's really cool, isn't it? Jeremy, don't fall! And as one of the students knocks his desk over, the whole thing shifts into this like growing thunderstorm spreading across the ceiling. Oh, shit.
Nice. Excellent. Thank you very much. That is our session. That is our arc, our story. If you don't mind, I wouldn't mind getting some final thoughts from folks here. Stars, wishes, thoughts on the game system, anything like that. If you don't mind, we'll go in the same order. Just though I want to say I had a great time running this. This
was awesome.
When I first picked it up to run, I was like, oh, it's a Mage thing. And then when I went to actually read the rules, I was like, oh, there's a lot of numbers. And I was very concerned because there were a lot of numbers, but I was like, I put this on the schedule. I'm going to do this. There's so much stuff here. But I super enjoyed it. Like it does what I wanted it to do. It's a fun game. It allowed us to play around with stuff. We didn't get too much into the weeds of having to figure things out. And great characters. All 4 of your characters, just dynamite. Great play. I loved the emotional arcs of all the characters in this as well. So I don't usually do this, but I wanted to specifically throw my stars out here on the table first. Jesse, anything you want to say?
Gosh, just an absolute joy to play with all of you. Honestly, this has been just wonderful. Like I loved every single character, and there were just so many neat little moments. I love some of the moments we got here at the end. I loved finally getting Thea to come out and to really make an appearance, and I just thought it was kind of perfect. And then I was so interested how differently things went than I was expecting, and I just loved how everyone rolled with it, because I mean we were obviously rolling terribly for a period of time there. Everything went wrong that possibly could have gone wrong. So like I just loved how, you know, all of you with your characters, you just all rolled with it. We made it happen. Lowell, you like managed to somehow keep it all together and things going in a cool, fun direction. I just thought it was wonderful. I just had a great time. It was awesome. Thank you all. Yeah. Especially for someone who doesn't really know, you know, the background as well. You know, I mean, I'm not Mage has never been something I've really explored thoroughly. So just thanks for making me feel super welcome.
Oh, good. I'm glad you felt that way.
Yeah.
David.
This was a delight. I was really happy with every minute of this. This was really fun. I'm also really glad Thea got to show up. I was trying to think of ways. I'm like, how can I just I don't know, rationally go into drag here? And I like that you were just like, would you just go and drag here? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Of course, that sounds great. And it kind of worked for like the finale of getting the two I don't know, sides together. It was really awesome. And I've had this character in the back of my head for like so long, and I'm glad I actually got to play them. It was really fun.
Good. And
to play Mage for the first time too. Like I said at the first one, I've been like wishing to play Mage for a long time. And this was, I'll echo you again that when I saw the like the rule book, it was like a really longer than usual rule book. And I'm like, oh no, this looks like it's going to be rough. But it actually, once we got the hang of it, it was really good. Especially this one with all of the bad rolls and the storm actually catching up to us.
Oh yeah,
it's actually really cool.
Yeah, I dug that. It was great to see that mechanic come into play, and felt like it was good payoff for everything that we'd done. So, Tyler.
This was awesome. This was really first rate. I came in and I looked at Patrick before we started playing, and I was like, I can't wait to see how Lowell brings this all together, because this does not seem like it could be done. Let's see the master at work. And damned if you didn't do it. It was really impressive. I really liked the plot. And there were realizations that dawned all the way through it that were really cool. You kept a nice mystery going, and the reveal ended up being very good. And you laid the groundwork for it all so that it made sense. It was really pretty. It was really well done. Characters were phenomenal. Patrick, I love Silas. I thought he was there. You know, I love your befuddled characters. Befuddling characters, I suppose is it. When you start doing word salad on people as an attack, I love it. It's so well done. And then there were cool quirks to Silas that I thought were fun and kept developing in play. So it was a nice, well realized character. I will agree. Thank God we got to see Thea, and it was such a dramatic moment. So it worked well. I loved the duality you put in your epilogue for the Thea Clay imagery there. I thought that was brilliant. All the way through the run, though, I really enjoyed Clay because, first off, you've been so witty with the character all the way through.
Yeah.
Just always putting out great lines, doing so well with that. But there was, you know, it wasn't like, you know, a ditzy sort of thing. You were always on spot with observations. And so it was nicely done to be kind of a big personality, but also extremely practical and very to the point in the game. And that was really, really solid. That was just nicely done. Jesse, it was such a pleasure to play with you. I loved our moments together. I liked Thomas. And I feel like you and I had the most, you know, I had the most emotional connection with you. And it was so cool to have that going on. I thought that was really nice. And their story was just fun to do. And Thomas was a great character, just a full, deep character.
Yeah.
And that's nice. For this game, I think this game's super cool. It does have a lot of moving parts, but I think the moves are innovative and interesting. Like, you know, the options in them are really cool. I like the epiphany. I think there's a lot to this game that's really, really cool. And I'll say I think it would long play really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it has a quality that you don't often get from PbtA games of, I bet you could go into this game and start people higher, tell a completely different kind of story with it. Whereas most PbtA, if you say, oh, I'm going to give you 4 advances, that's not really changing what kind of story you're going to tell. But this one can be, you go ahead and say, all right, go ahead and take 4 advancements. You've got a whole different playground to play with in that. And so there's some neat things that could be done with this game to tell a lot of different stories. So super cool game.
Agreed. I want to piggyback on something you said here before I let Patrick have a word. There's that moment when I was like, okay, they're clearly going to go with Dragon Engine. I kind of know what I'm going to do with that. And then you were like, let's talk to them. And that was such a good moment because it felt so right. But also was a moment where you like surprised me. And I was like, oh, this is great, you know, because I was really, you know, I could see kind of where the momentum was going. And when that shift happened, and then it was so good. I really love those moments. And I really appreciate it when we can do problem solving, you know, in different directions, especially in a game where you've got so much kind of power. It's nice to see that. But Patrick, stars, thoughts, all of that.
I mean, this was all amazing. This was really, really fun. To talk about the system in particular, I could see some tweaks to the basic moves, but I'll be honest, I ended up liking them a lot more than I thought I would to start with, because they felt very samey just reading through them the first time. But there's a lot of depth and complexity to them that came out in play. I will say the 4 stats, while very mage, even after 5 sessions, don't particularly inspire me to tell me what my character is like. Like I don't know. That's a little bit. I think that's a veer too far in world and away from helpful game stuff. But the magic stuff, seeing the paradox go off, was super cool.
That was very cool.
As far as like stars, I will also agree that it was a group effort from a lot of different points throughout this session, but managing to wrangle the story that started the session very big and like hard to wrangle, and then as we went through every fail ever just got even messier. Like finding a way to bring it all to a point at the end was an amazing achievement, I think, for everyone. But especially Lowell for all of the magic cats to be hurting. David, I love Cole or Clay. I love the way that you played him. I loved seeing Thea, but for a particular star, like just my favorite moment of the session was the first time you actually said Thea Cult's name out loud, and I was like, oh my god, I get the pun. Was maybe my favorite moment of the session. Jesse, I loved how much you were willing to like lean into the consequences for Thomas this time. That like you're the one to get the big paradox explosion off. Seeing the way that you just like took it and rolled into the like horror and the pain for the character was really like it was an emotional moment in the story, and it was very like true to Mage story point that made the whole world sort of come alive, I think. And Tyler, in a very lucky reciprocal relationship, I like watching you play characters that have to try and wrangle chaos and weirdness going on around them. And I think the like constant drive that Dr. Malachi brought to keep us moving forward, to keep us figuring out solutions, to keep us from not just like getting shot in this car or burning on this sidewalk or whatever. Like we've got to keep moving, and that was definitely something we needed. It was amazing. Would play this game again. Would play a short run at high level. Would play a long run starting from the very beginning of a story and just see where it goes to. This game's cool.
Thank you all so much. I had a very good time doing this, and I'm going to stop the recording.